Hi everyone, Folk the Song Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Lankum record, False Lankum. This album over here is from the Irish music outfit known as Lankum, who have been around in one form or another since the early 2000s, at one time under the name Lynched, which can see why they switched that one up, and they have since been signed by the legendary Rough Trade Records, and yes, are releasing music under the name Lankum. One of the label's modern sleeper artists, honestly, covertly dropping one Irish folk album after another. Very dense and very drony, and that is no less the case for this latest release here, which is handily their darkest and heaviest project yet, presenting these moody and massive flips of a variety of different English and Irish folk songs. And this results in moments like the opening track, Go Dig My Grave, a sorrowful dirge about suicide over an unrequited love, which builds up with these thick subterranean drones as well as expanding dramatic vocal layers. The growing and blaring instrumentation all over this track is very Swans, very current 93 coded, especially during some of the more sinister and frightening instrumental passages, though I would say at their core Lankum does a lot more to kind of stick to those folk music traditions, which maybe puts them more in line with experimentalists like Richard Dawson, who have a bit less of a rock appeal. Now, while the extra heaps of instrumentation on the opening track are fantastic and powerful, sometimes deeper into the record it feels like it's kind of lacking in purpose, most specifically on the folk tunes that are more basic and direct, like Clear Away in the Morning as well as Lord Aber and Mary Flynn, which are good tunes, especially the former, which is a quaint and endearing story with dashes of romance and boat travel. But I wouldn't necessarily say these songs are enhanced by the heavy rumbles of droning instrumentation lying beneath them and kind of sucking up a lot of the space in the mix and removing any kind of body or dynamics. Maybe a more no-frills approach would have made for a compelling listen. As far as the extra heaps of instrumentation go, tracks like NETTA PERSEUS make a lot more sense. It is one of the more simple tunes here and instrumentally builds up to a very large and gratifying climax toward the end, rather than just kind of drowning the entire song out as it moves along for a majority of its runtime. But when a song and a performance actually calls for a big display and high drama, Lankum brings that and then some, like with the track Newcastle, which is a really sweet love song with super meditative acoustic guitar arpeggios, a lot of atmosphere, some powerful vocal harmonies, haunting and gorgeous refrains of why should I not love my love, why shouldn't my love love me, as we're told this story of a protagonist who is kind of pursuing someone romantically, and this kind of changes previously healthy and happy dynamics. Now this person is like beefing with her family, also with her squire. Not getting on the bad side of the squire. The song is soft, but it has a lot of density and heft to it. It kind of feels like it could be crushing if it wanted to, but it's not. It's like a gentle giant. There's also the track The New York Trader, which no, is not about the stock exchange. It has some strings and steadily strummed guitars that incrementally get more and more intense and passionate as the song moves along. The whole thing is like a multi-phase story song with some rushes of instrumentation that perfectly fit the narrative as it's progressing, where boarding a vessel to set sail to New York, there's a kind of evil captain aboard, a dark confession, a sudden storm. The rest I won't spoil, but know that this track, spares no frightening or traumatic detail. There's also On a Monday Morning, which kind of feels like a less is more moment on the record. I feel like the track is more chilling because it's more atmospheric and its space surrounding the song isn't as filled out. And ultimately this track is a drinking song, but no, not in that way. This one is more about regret. The feelings of sadness the next day after the party, after the binge, after the hangover. If only the birds were booze, if only the sun was a party giver, if only I could trade in this liver on a Monday morning. Then there's the closing track, The Turn, which I am a bit torn on. I do love the grandiosity and ambition of this 12-minute track, along with its dissonant and chaotic final leg, which is one of the more experimental sections of the record. But its claustrophobically multi-tracked vocal harmonies, along with its stop-and-go pacing on the first leg, gives the song a really odd and ungratifying start. Plus, the mix on this one is really oversaturated as the instrumentation instrumentation piles on. I get the sense the band wanted to go for something big and huge here and just kind of ended up suffocating the song and the performance itself in the process of doing so. Still, a majority of my experience listening to this record was a positive one, and I'm glad I eventually got around to listening to this record, as I have seen a lot of positive reception toward it, which I definitely see the merit in given just how heavy and beautiful and dramatic this album is during its best moments, and how creatively the band is able to elevate Irish folk music in a very cinematic and artsy way. Feeling a strong 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Lankum, forever.